Welcome back to the Cozy Rosy Crochet channel and to one of the parts of the preparation for getting ready to crochet our very own Rose Cardigan. Now this is part of the Rose Cardigan crochet along where you are going to be able to make your very own cardigan to fit your body in your style. The cardigan itself is sized from extra small all the way through to 5XL, and you can customise both the sleeves and the length option that you want to make. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you never miss out another one of my crochet tutorials or part of the crochet along either. Now today we're going to be talking about schematics, what that means in the relation to the pattern that we're making and how that can help us determine which size you want to be making. In the description box below you'll find a link to an article on my website that talks about how to measure yourself properly. There's only one measurement we need to be able to determine which size of cardigan that we're making, and that is our bust measurement or our chest measurement. Once we have that measurement, we can compare that to the size chart and to the schematic of the pattern to determine which size we're going to be making. A schematic is basically a plan or a chart determining the shape and the sizes of the pieces that make up the crochet pattern that you're making. The schematic shows the finished measurements of those pieces so you can determine which size to make those pieces in. This extra information on the schematic can be really helpful when you're trying to select which size to make of a crochet pattern to ensure the best fit. It will also allow you to adjust some of the measurements so that you get the fit that you want for your body. Let's have a look at the size chart that we have for the Rose Crochet Cardigan. As you can see on the screen, the cardigan mentions that it has a positive ease of 2 inches for a fitted look. What that means is that the garment itself is 2 inches bigger than your body size for that size that it determines. So for instance, if we look at the extra small, it has a chest measurement of 28 to 30 inches, which means that the finished circumference of that pattern has an extra 2 inches on it. So it actually measures 32 inches when it's completed. And that's the same for all the sizes. They just have 2 inches bigger than the maximum bust size used in this pattern. Now the size chart is really useful to kind of determine against the measurements of your body that you've taken to what size might be suitable based on the fit of the pattern that it was designed in. In this case, it is a slim fit as in its shape to the bust size, and there's not a lot of give. It's not oversized like this cardigan is where there's extra fabric around the bust. It's designed to fit your body. The size chart does helpfully advise us that we can make 1 to 2 sizes bigger. Knowing that there is a 2-inch positive ease gives us a bit more information about how the pattern is going to be made up and what that finished size will be. Let's take a look at the schematic so we can see in more detail what size the finished panels will be in the cardigan. So the Rose Crochet Cardigan can be seen in this schematic to have 3 panels, and there are lots of sleeve options there for us as well, which is great fun. It means that we have lots of different ways that we can personalise this pattern. If we take a look at that big square, that is the back panel of the pattern. And you can see that it has a list of inches in all different sizes. The measurements are listed in size order, so they start in extra small, small, medium, etc. So you can see which size is made and what size those measurements finish at. With the extra small, you can see that it's a finished size to the back panel of 16 inches. If someone who is an extra small wanted to make an oversized cardigan, they can select to make a medium with a 20-inch back panel, which will give them a lot more movement and will probably make it an oversized cardigan. On the back panel, you can also see the finished length options that are available, and there are 4 different lengths that you can choose from a crop length at 14 inches, there's a hip length at 22 inches, a mid-thigh length at about 30 inches, and a knee length all the way down at 33 inches. So the Rose Crochet Cardigan schematic in theory is quite simple. If it wasn't for all those sleeve options, you would just see the side panel, the back panel, and the sleeve choice that's available. I do have another pattern, however, that has a slightly more complicated schematic. Let me share that with you now. This schematic is from the Cable Crossed Cardigan, which is part of the Cozy Rosy Cardigan collection. I will pop a link for that in the description box for you. And this schematic is a little bit more complex in that there are more numbers to consider when you're selecting your size and how you're making it. The more numbers you're given gives you more information as to how you can personalise the fit of this pattern. So much like the Rose cardigan, there's a back panel, 2 side panels and a sleeve option. But this cardigan has an inset sleeve, so it eliminates all the extra bulk underneath the arm. It means that there is a really close fit for this cardigan and it's incredibly comfortable to wear. I really would recommend it as a follow-on pattern, should we say. It uses quite beginner-friendly stitches. It's just the construction and the increases and decreases that can feel a little bit overwhelming. Estimating the amount of yarn to be used in a pattern can vary wildly when we have so many different options to work from, especially when we factor in some of those sleeve options. There is a way to calculate how much yarn you're going to need. It's always only an estimation, but it means that you're less likely to run out of yarn to finish your project, which is the worst feeling in the world. So keep an eye on the website, make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter, and you can find that information on there shortly. If we refer back to the schematic, you can see that there is different measurements for the front panel. Now the front panel in theory is probably about half the size of the back panel. That makes sense mathematically, but obviously that's then divided in 2 as well, because the front panel is split in 2 to make those side panels. You've heard me talk a lot previously about how when we're grading patterns, it's not as simple as just multiplying the numbers to make them fit all the sizes. The Rose Crochet cardigan is a really great example of how simply grading a pattern to a bigger size just by multiplying the numbers just does not really work. There's been some adjustments made in those larger sizes for people like myself, where we don't want the neckline too close to our neck because we don't really have one, and we don't want it coming too far over the shoulder. For those instances, those measurements are updated onto the schematic as well. And you can see a great example there at the top of the side panel. Because even though the front panel starts with the similar measurements, just half of the back panel, the top measurement is slightly different because we need to do more decreases on those larger sizes to get the shoulder to fit well. With the sleeves, there is a similar situation. Because the back panels are wider on those larger sizes, the sleeve length is adjusted and therefore the number of decreases needed for the tapered sleeve are also adjusted, so you don't end up with a sleeve hanging over your hand just because you have a wider back panel. There aren't really many places within the Rose Crochet cardigan that you can make adjustments for a better fit, other than selecting to make another size for the back and side panels. It is of course entirely your choice which fit you go for. If you would like to make an oversized cardigan and your size measurements aren't listed, please reach out to me. I will get those sorted for you. So if you are a 4X looking to make an oversized version, just let me know and I will forward those details to you. But ultimately, if you want that oversized look with this cardigan, you are going to have to go up a size. As I mentioned, it only has a positive ease of 2 inches, and an oversized sweater would generally have 6 to 8 inches. Another really good way to use a schematic is to measure a cardigan or a jumper that you really like the fit of, if it's an oversized, and determine what that measurement is. Perhaps it measures 26 inches across the back, so you can look at this schematic and calculate which size is a 26 inch across the back panel, and that's the size you want to make. In this instance, I have to calculate backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2. That would be a 2XL. And it doesn't matter what size you're making, as long as it's the fit that's going to be comfortable for you. So I hope that helps understand those schematics a little bit more. I'd really love to know how much you've enjoyed learning more about a schematic, if you've ever come across them before and thought, what on earth is all this? I hope this goes a little way to encourage you to seek out more patterns with schematics so that you can learn to adjust them for a better fit. I must admit that I find talking about sizing and measurements sometimes a little bit awkward, but really deep down I am body accepting of myself, and I'm trying to be more body positive at the same time. I just want you to realise that they are just numbers, and these numbers do not determine our worth. Whatever size you're making, we are looking for a good fit on our crochet cardigans, so that when we have finished this project, we are going to feel $1 million wearing something that we made with our own hands. I'll be back with you in the next video that will be to start our back panels. Until then, keep it cozy.